Welcome back to the Imaginary Gallery. It's TJ, your host. We're delving further into the Psychopath's bag of tricks. We left off with adolescents with behavioral disorders. We're now moving on to crime and violence as referenced from Robert D Hare's book, Without Conscience: The Disturbing World of the Psychopaths Among Us. He tells us that the last decade, which was several decades ago, has seen the emergence of an inescapable and terrifying reality. Then he mentions a large surge of juvenile crime that's threatening to overwhelm our social institutions, plus all the drug use and crimes of violence, rape, robbery, homicide, aggravated assault, and the ever younger age at which these offenses are being committed. He says that we are sickened and we're saddened, but it's no longer surprising. There are reports of children under the age of 10 who are capable of the sort of mindless violence that was once reserved for hardened adult criminals. Psychologist Rolf Lober draws our attention to something I've heard about a long time ago, but it's a well-known fact that clinical practitioners have never had much luck in rehabilitating youngsters once their antisocial behavior has become entrenched. And most treatment programs result in little more than a short-term gain. Lober then points to an issue that's often obscured by the sheer weight of the current data on delinquent behavior in our society. Quote,
"The level of impairment that arose in the 1960s and 70s in juvenile functioning should cause concern about the ability of a proportion of that generation to bring up the next generation. Impaired child rearing practices is one of the factors that influence how antisocial the next generation will be."
In other words, hold on to your hats, we ain't seen nothing yet. Lober notes that there are several well-established pathways to criminality, and it should be illogical and foolish not to do everything in our power to disrupt these pathways as early as possible. The same reasoning applies with even greater force to psychopathy. Ken Majid and Carol McKelvey use the concept of psychopathy to account, at least partially, for the burgeoning crime statistics among the young people. To illustrate the point, they present a disturbing list of recent headlines from newspapers across the country. A teenage boy in Colorado waits patiently while two young friends hack and hammer his mother to death. Florida police tried to determine if a 5-year-old knew consequences when he threw a 3-year-old off the 5th floor stairwell. Kansas City police are baffled by a jealous 12-year-old who kills its younger sister and mother over birthday party plans. 11-year-old from affluent St. Louis neighborhood orders 10-year-old out of her yard. When he doesn't leave, she shoots him with the parent's gun. Playmate dies after surgery. A girl, 4 years old, kills twin baby brothers by throwing them to the floor after one of the 3-week-old infants accidentally scratches her during play. Hare states that he could add dozens of other cases to this list. For example, at this writing, a small town in western state is frantically searching for ways to deal with a 9-year-old who allegedly rapes and molests other children at knife point. He's too young to be charged and cannot be taken into care because, quote, "Such action may only be taken when the child is in danger, not his victims," end quote, according to a child protection official. Those people are corrupt, by the way. These horrific events were not ordinary accidents or simple exaggerations of normal childhood behaviors that will correct themselves with time. Events of this sort begin to make sense when we accept the fact that personality traits of psychopaths are present early in life in some people. Disturbing as this may sound, it paves the way for study of the disorder across the lifespan. A crucial task if we are to develop effective interwoven procedures and to find out what leads one youngster with the disorder to become a con artist or swindler, another to become a violent criminal, another to become a shady or unethical business person, politician, or professional, and yet another, perhaps with a less potent mix of the characteristics described in previous chapters, to become a reasonably productive member of our society. I made a little mistake earlier when I said at the beginning of the section what I was thinking was something I've heard before, which I guess is completely irrelevant to the topic, but interesting nonetheless, which is take a professional counselor who's there for family counseling designed to help families with their adolescent problems. From what I've heard, that person, if they're a mother or a father, they don't have any advantage over non-practitioners. They may be counseling people with problems with adolescents, but that doesn't mean that their own home is in perfect order just because of her profession or his profession, which I just found that was interesting, because you'd think if they're a professional to help families, well, their family must be perfect, but unfortunately that's not the case, and that's not the focus of this video or this chapter, but I thought it was interesting. You learn something new every day. The next video will be covering origins, as well as the common discussion of nature versus nurture, or a combination of the two.
I am the narcopath of your dreams. I did hear TJ when he was here talking about childhood psychopaths. He wishes.
I thought, though, it rang a few bells when I listened. It's true, when I was a child, I was into all kinds of trouble. At the age of 3, I was robbing peanuts from the grocery store. Of course, I moved on up to diamond rings and watches with real gold. That was at the age of 5. I was so innocent looking. Clerks never suspected me. I was so cute, and I knew just how to act. They'd turn their back, and I would be out the door with the loot. People would find out I did it and ask questions like, "Don't you feel guilty for stealing?" And I'd think, "Hell no, I'm glad I got this free gift. It's their fault for not paying close enough attention to the merchandise. Why would it be my fault that I stole? So what? Those rules are just fake, just to get people to be controlled. And I will not be controlled, because I am the controller. If I want something, I'm gonna get it. And you fools with your guilt and your shame. What a waste of time. Of course, I did end up in jail, because I was a little young and hadn't perfected my act yet. But I simply unzipped my shirt just a little, because I was well developed at an early age. And that policeman, after I winked at him, he was ready to let me go and said it was all just a misunderstanding. Better, because I was going to tell his wife that he tried to rape me if he didn't, and he knew it, because I told him. No one else knew that. Except you do now. Well, he's long gone. I took care of him.
He's 6 feet under somewhere, which I won't reveal. Anyway, I take care of business. If something gets in my way, I get rid of it.
Darling, I do admit it is difficult being the narcopath sometimes. Some of the tricks I used to use just don't work anymore, now that I'm a little older. When I was a younger kid, I got away with murder. I just led people to believe that I was being abused. That really got them mad at my parents. Do you want to know my upbringing? What might have caused my personality, beauty? My mother was a hooker. I learned how to turn tricks watching her. Father was non-existent. I don't know who he is. Never did. I didn't want to. I probably slept with him, because I copied Mama. Probably had him in my bed and spread my thighs for him, and who cares? I didn't have no baby. If I did, I would have aborted it or given it to the Queen Elizabeth birth so she could eat it like she eats all the others. My childhood was pretty much me on my own. I didn't have anyone telling me what to do. And other people, I told them what to do. And if they didn't do what I wanted, I saw to it they were destroyed. I had no guidance. I didn't need it. I was tough. I could take care of myself. So whatever his book says is wrong. It's just slanted. Written for the poor fools who feel guilt. And I don't. I'm the tough one. I'm the strong one. I've got the power. You all are weak. You book readers. Besides, for everything in that book that says I do is wrong, I'm sure there are 100 other books out there. Say what I did was right and what that book says is wrong. So take that.
Pulling you up, give me a sign, and set my breathing over the eye. Something's around, I'm on the hunt. when you feel surprised. I feel the heatness of holding behind. Touch me things around, and I'm falling, and I'm falling, and